Very good evening, Venerables, Chuan and Wei. Brothers and sisters in Dharma. Welcome to BGF. Tonight, the two Venerables especially came from the US, and they'll be sharing on the topic, Dharma for a New Generation. Brief introduction to Venerable. Venerable Chuan, the one on the left.
Here.
That's
me.
His life is full of paradoxes. He's an American-born Chinese kid raised in Silicon Valley who felt called to monastic life. A Stanford student who moved between physics labs and religious studies. Same thing as Ajahn Brahma. And a meditator who traded tech culture for the quiet rigors of a Buddhist monastery.
There you go.
Venerable was ordained in 2011 as a novice and 2013 as a bhikshu at the City of 10,000 Buddhas, Palm Beach, California. Later, he received an MA in Buddhist Classics at the Dharma Buddhist University, where he now serves as an assistant professor and chaplain. He also serves on the Buddhist Global Relief Board and Sangha Council. His name literally means to transmit, and he finds himself bridging many worlds: East and West, North, Mahayana, and South Theravada, tradition and contemporary life. These days, his main focus is developing Redwood Vihara, a monastery startup in the Santa Cruz Mountains in the United States. And introduction to Venerable Wei. Venerable Wei was born in Poland and began his meditation practice in 1999. After living a fun but unfulfilling bohemian lifestyle, he encountered a Polish translation of the Sixth Bhattacharya Sutra that inspired him to dedicate himself to Dharma practice and service. He volunteered in various hospitals and helped organize DRBA delegations to Europe. In 2013, he came to the City of 10,000 Buddhas as a Sangha and laity training program student. In 2015, he took novice ordination, and in 2017, full ordination. In 2020, he graduated from the Dharma Buddhist University Master of Arts in Buddhist Classics. Venerable Wei serves on the Buddhist Global Relief Sangha Council. So let's put our heads together to give 3 bows to Venerable, and I invite them to lead the Dharma sharing. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Over to you, Venerable.
Thank you. So we wanted to start with a chant. This comes from our Thai Forest brothers, the dedication of offerings. So maybe to ask, how many people have not chanted in Pali before? Anybody not chanted in Pali?
First time.
First time. Can you see over there on the side, Yunlin? Is it too small? Is it too small? I have the sheet handouts too here. Let me pass it out since we have it. Here, pass out some. So if you can see it, you don't need it, but if you like to not kind of gaze really squint to see it, you can get a sheet. And I'll explain how do you chant in Pali. You'll see that there's first a phrase in parentheses. This is the lead chanter starts it out. And then you'll see it says Bhagava. That means the blessed one below. And you'll see there's an arrow pointing down, and that's the tone going down. And when you see a line, that syllable is extended. So Bhagava, Arahang. So you go down, and then when you see an arrow going up, Bhagavata, so the ah goes up. So the tune is a monotone. Da 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 da. And there are certain times when there's a line that extends it, and there's a certain time when here, for instance, there's a line below that's fatter. This is also extended. So if it's your first time, I just invite you to follow along as you are able. Otherwise, you can just listen. And these sounds have been chanted probably for 2,000 to 3,000 years. And there's a kind of deep connection when you chant it that we're touching into the time of the Buddha.
In English, quite new.
English, quite new. And they have the English below, so that's probably last 100 years. Okay, so please place your palms together. Yo som bhagava arahang samma sambuddho. To the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, Swakato yena bhagavata dhammo, to the teaching which he expounded so well, Subhatipanno yasam bhagavato savaka sangho, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Tamayam bhagavantam zadhammang zasangham, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, Imehi sakare hiyatarahang arobidehi abhibhujayama, we render with offerings a rightful homage. Sadhu no bhante bhagava suchiram parini putopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Pachima janata nukambamanasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime sakare dukkatabanna karabute mariganatu. May these simple offerings be accepted. Amakadi harata mitaya sukaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Namam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanna Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Handamayam Buddhassa Bhagavato Babaka Namakaram Karomase.
Now let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Just take a minute of silence. You can sit up straight. If you're sitting on the cushion, feel the weight of your body on the cushion. If you're sitting on a chair, you can put both feet flat on the floor. And as you breathe in, extend the spine, sitting up straight. And as you exhale, relax the body. Letting go of any worries that you have. Setting intention to be fully present. So just sit 1 minute in silence. Okay, so good evening, everyone. As was just mentioned before, my name is Chuan.
And my name is
Jing Wei. And we're very honored to be here. Actually, right before we began this event, Bobby shared with us that he saw our founder, Master Xuan Hua, bow to Venerable Dhammananda, which I call a chief, a very, very senior Theravada monk here in Malaysia. And they had a deep friendship, as far as I understood. I was not alive at the time, so I didn't see that. But I think that just an expression of this sense of real friendship in the traditions. And the Pali chants actually also came into our tradition because Master Hua went to Europe and visited some of the Thai forest monasteries. And when he went there, he saw 40, 50 Theravada monks chanting just like we were chanting a moment ago. And the room just vibrated. And Reverend Heng Shi, who will be coming very soon, he turned to Reverend Heng Shi and said, when we go back to the city of 10,000 Buddhas, we're chanting in Pali.
Or do it like them.
Or do it like them, you know? And that's what happened for many years. One day in Chinese, one day in English and Pali. So this friendship was set in place many, many decades ago, and we feel deeply blessed to be able to be here at the Buddhist Gem Fellowship and coming in the sense of friendship. And so tonight, our topic is Dharma for the next generation, or new generation. And this topic came about because we have found in many of our, in many of our communities that somehow Buddhism isn't quite connecting to the current generation for various reasons. Let me see if I can find the poster. Here it is. We find oftentimes in our monasteries that there's the population is aging and a new generation is not coming in. So the question is how do we connect to a younger group so that they feel that this treasure of the Dharma can continue on to a new generation? And we were just reflecting on this, and our sense is that the Dharma has to be living. It has to be authentic. It has to touch the heart. And so we like to say the Dharma has to be real, not ideal. Because sometimes in our practice, we become performative. We try to show up as a good Buddhist. And we lose that kind of heart and that spirit, which I think is what really draws young people. They see how the Dharma transforms our lives. And when we share those genuine stories, something opens up that, wow, this is a way out of suffering. Because I can tell you now, for young people, there is a lot of suffering. Mm-hmm. And they're looking for answers. And for us, the Dharma is one of these wonderful doorways or pathways to real happiness and freedom. So what we wanted to do was, Jing Wei was going to share a bit of a story. We have a couple of surprises. I won't go into too much detail. But our reflections over the years is how do we translate the Dharma so that when people hear it, it makes intuitive sense without any Buddhist language in it. So when you just hear the Dharma, go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That helps me get out of suffering. But when you hear it, you know how that seed ripens in full liberation. So that's kind of what we wanted to share, a little bit of our reflections tonight. We don't have all the answers for sure, but we just have some reflections we want to kind of share with the group.
Yeah, so sometimes we're calling this decoding the Dharma. We have to find a new code and find the way that Dharma can, or Dhamma, connect to people where they are with their real struggle. The first noble truth, right, is dukkha, as we know. Where is the real struggle in the new generation? And we see it's a lot of loneliness, disconnection, worries, and this is a globally phenomenon. We came from Silicon Valley. We live in California. But we're seeing this in Taiwan, we're seeing in London, we're seeing Paris or Warsaw, China too. We go very fast and somehow our lives doesn't match.
For instance, let me give you a really quick example. Where I grew up is in Silicon Valley, and there's a very high-achieving school called Gunn High School, right next to Stanford. And there's a train track there next to that high school that they have 24/7 hour surveillance. Why? Because the students are walking across the train tracks and committing suicide. So many of them that they have 24/7 hour surveillance now. And this pressure that the young people feel and the disconnection people feel is like, I don't want to be part of this.
So exactly. So how we can approach that? How the Dharma can be a medicine for those lost kids? So we exploring, of course. This is not easy answer. And sometimes people feel, oh, you see those monks, Bhantas in the robes. They're very clear from beginning where they're going. Their Dharma Google map is clear. The destination, GPS destination is awakening. You know, whoa, you go just fastest road and you're free. Well, all of us started very often, maybe not all of us, but many of us started with this place of confusion, of anxiousness, feeling lost. And we started finding this compass, how I can navigate it, how I can find a medicine. And we're talking about new generation and younger people. We're not that super young anymore, but I definitely look at on my past, can see these moments when I was very anxious, unstable, and don't know where I'm going. I think my sound is changing now. Jinchuasha, you can a little bit. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. This moment is like, just relax. And so I can trace from early childhood in my journey. When I look at it, I want to a little bit share what Jin Chuan says, that sometimes we don't know where we're going and we don't know how to find a way out. So, as it was introduced, I was born in Poland. And at the time, my country was pretty poor. It was communist time when I grew up. And we're that poor that when you go to the grocery store, there are only two products, vinegar and bread. People have a lot of money, but you cannot buy anything. Or very difficult to find something to buy. So my mom, like many Poles at the time, went abroad, United States, to find some economic opportunities to make our life better. And I remember her leaving on the airport, and I was so excited. Wow, the good stuff will come soon. And I remember the moment when the first package came from the United States. I open it up, and the smell of the new clothes. I see Nike there, like, wow. Walkie-talkie. As a kid, 12 years old or 11 years old, whoa, I was in Pure Land. And this moment. But later I realized that it was fun, it was magical, have those nice stuff, but these packages cannot replace the caring, loving parent. It was missing. The phone calls cannot replace the true connection, true dialogue. So my parents divorced, and at the beginning it seems that we'll be apart for maybe a very short period of time. But turns into decades, and I first time saw my mother after 17 years. So I was very lost, angry and resentful, especially to my father, who I couldn't understand what he was going through. He was also suffered at the time. So anytime I have opportunity, and I run out from my home, hanging out with friends, and try to find a way that can numb the pain. And I clearly remember one day with another friend, we bought 2 bottles of beer. We drank that, and I felt like, wow, it feels so good. I can relax. I didn't know that led me to more problems later. That shortcut to relax with the beer. Because underneath, it was a constant voice. I'm no good enough. I'm no good enough. One of the Thai forest monk, Ajahn Viradamo, called this, I'm no good mantra. I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. Is it familiar, that mantra for you? Sometimes it was a top of my Spotify hard playing. I'm no good, I'm no good. And so try to find a way how to feel okay. And maybe some of you, as I shared that, have a little bit different experience. But many kids, in fact, many people, Ajahn Chuan mentioned, of the high rate of suicide in the younger generation in California, but also when in Taiwan, many students took their lives. Because they feel a lot of pressure to succeed, to fear that will disappoint others, parents. We not feel good enough become almost a global phenomenon. And I remember the first day when I encountered the Dharma. It was, I think, 1999. I was so happy. Whoa, is the way to return to my heart. It's something real, something very authentic here. But I was very vigorous, and I unfortunately take this medicine without writing clearly prescription. I really try hard to be very sincere. Bow more, sit longer, be very strict to myself. To try to be harder and harder on myself, to find the way that I can fix myself. I want to fix myself. Pushing. My Dharma become a performance. Like a good show. Look at me sitting full lotus here. Bow fast, faster than anyone else. How many bows you did? Man, I'm humble, but we are not 1,500. So I was pushing myself and stopping listening, my heart, my body, to the point that I broke my body several times.
Yeah. Both knees and his back.
Both knees and my back. We call ourselves the Dharma Marines. Dharma Marines. So I realized that I use the same mindset behind this trying hard to prove myself, to find some worth and acceptance from others, and constantly listening that I'm no good mantra behind my mind, in my heart. So it was pretty painful in many ways. And Jean Chuan mentioned that we are very grateful for our teacher, that we have that deep friendship with our Theravada brothers. Here you see Bhikkhu Bodhi in our monastery, Redwood Vihara, who visited us recently. He's coming pretty soon, again. And in many ways, I start learning that the Dharma cannot be performative. It has to connect to our heart and has to transform the heart. This is the medicine. So we need to be a good doctors and apply in the way that provide result, what is healing. Have more peace, acceptance. And remember one day, few of them came, but this conversation really changed my life in many ways. It was Bhante or Ajahn Karunadhammo at the time, and I was very curious about metta practice. Many of you are probably familiar, right? Wishing well to ourselves, accepting ourselves. For me, it was like foreign language, accepting myself. Sounds very unfamiliar, very distant. And ask him, Bhante, Ajahn, can you tell me about the metta? I tried to repeating those phrases, but I hit the wall. That's so foreign. Accept myself. It's like putting a lot of sugar, pretending that I like it. And I'll be, no, Jinwei. You have to be creative in your practice of metta. You have to your own way, your own approach to this practice. He told me, I'm using one word mantra. And I get very curious. Wow, you practice metta with one word mantra? Yeah. I recite in my heart with the whole day a word gentle. Gentle. Whatever criticism arising, gentle. Scolding myself, I'm not a good monk, gentle. I screw up again, gentle. Not just repeating this mantra in the mind, but feeling in the heart and connecting to the body. How body feels when we are gentle. Gentle. Everything is okay. Gentle.
You become a gentleman.
I'm slowly trying to become a gentleman. Literally. Be gentleman. Gentle monk. Of course, I will not go further because very encouraged me to find my own doorway, my own key to this practice. And we start experimenting a lot. And of course, very important in the whole practice was not just metta, but also equanimity. How this practice can be held in this kind of a spacious awareness, grounded, centered and balanced. So it's a complete game changer in my practice. And slowly I realize that is not about fixing anything. I don't have to become someone else. I have to just rediscover or uncover what is already here. I'm good. I'm okay. And the practice maintain it with the body awareness and equanimity and then metta. So it's very, very, very important. So the question is, in our new generations, what is the medicine for ourselves, for our kids, for people who need support? Because we see that Dharma can be applied in any circumstances. In the worst possible scenario, we always can find a way to heal the heart. So we don't need to be perfect. The Dharma need to be perfect. We need to allow the Dharma to heal us itself. So sharing that we want to move to a demonstration how the Dharma...
Maybe I can add a little
Please.
bit. So, Jing Weishu tells his story, and it's kind of just point out a few things.
Yeah, please.
I think in our current society, there's a strong sense that we're not good enough, right? We can be not work hard enough, we are not beautiful enough, not attractive enough. Maybe if you're on social media, you're not cool enough. I mean, you can go through the whole list. You're not good enough as a mom or a dad or a kid, or all the different ways in our society we're not good enough.
Even the car cannot be good enough.
And even as a monk, you're not good enough.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
And so you have this constant narrative. And what we found is really important is for a younger generation is this sense of real acceptance. So when people come into the monastery, come into the space, they feel they're accepted just the way they are. And that's very powerful when you set up a space for young people and they walk in the door and they meet people and say, wow, we're very happy you're here. You know, please join us. And you have a sense of respect. There's a sense of trust. But because we live with Shila, with precepts, there's also a sense of safety because there's boundaries on how we live together and practice together. There's a sense of not harming one another. So we found that what Jing Weishu was saying, that this loving kindness, called the Brahma Viharas, right, the 4 boundless hearts, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, is really like a kind of a magic key to basically create a space that allows people to feel safe. And the question is then, how do we nurture that in our hearts? So we wanted to show you something that looks actually quite radical, because this is a place that you would not think you would have loving kindness. In America, it's San Quentin Jail,
Prison.
maximum security jail. This is where they have death row in California. So the most horrendous crimes, the criminals go here. And there, they have a training as a 1-year program where they learn to transform their rage into become peacemakers. And so we wanted to show that because they're in this group, you could see how they embody this kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity in this very, very tough place. So I was going to just show you the website.
But also you can see how skillfully they use the Dharma principles and apply them to these circumstances, to the people's life in the jail, in the way that makes sense to them, encourage them to change.
When we saw this program, we were introduced to it we have a university in our monastery called Dharma Brahma Buddhist University. And one of the students actually was a facilitator in this program. When he showed it to us and the transformations that these men had, we were like, wow, these men transform more in 1 year than sometimes I see people transform in 30 years in the monastery. You know, what are they doing? And we just give you a little bit of a sense of it because, well, this is really something we can learn from. It says, stop violent actions and do no harm. Basically, ahimsa, right? Compassion. Cultivate mindfulness. So here's interesting. It says, discern between a blind reaction and a well-considered response. So rather than just reacting to whatever's happening, there's a spaciousness in the heart, a mindfulness. You'll observe what's arising and then choose, how do I want to respond to this situation? With wisdom and kindness. not just, doing whatever feels impulsively correct. Develop emotional intelligence. So for these men, oftentimes the only emotion that's really is kind of valid is anger. As a man especially, it's like, okay, if you're scared, what do? You get angry. If you feel like you're threatened or you're sad, you get angry. Because that somehow is like an accepted emotion for a guy. I don't know if maybe not so much in Malaysia, but in America, there's a lot of anger in the air. And so what oftentimes is very helpful is actually developing an awareness of what's actually going on in the heart. Can you actually name your emotion? How do I feel? And then can I hold that emotion without just reacting out of the emotion, not identifying with the emotion? And then can I express that emotion in an authentic way that doesn't harm anyone? So those are very practical skills for these men to learn. Recognizing our emotions, being able to hold our emotions with spaciousness, being able to express them with skill, that they're authentic and caring. So the last one, it calls understand victim impact, which is in the Buddhist tradition, I would say is, we sometimes use the repentance, the sense of renewal, sometimes confession, realizing that we do certain things that have hurt other people, and we take responsibility, and we make amends. So this is really their curriculum for this 1 year. And if you look at the numbers, they've had 1,765 graduates. And out of that number, over half, is that half? 16, 7, 4. A little bit less than half have been released. And everyone in this program has a lifetime sentence. Usually what happens for these men is it's very hard for them to get out of jail because they go before a board that reviews them, and the board doesn't want to let a murderer back out into society because they don't want to take the consequences of having another crime, right? So having almost half of the people in this program be able to get out of jail is pretty stunning. And then out of that, another one is only 12 recommitted a crime that got them back to jail, which is also stunning.
And very often the crime that they committed is not violence related. Those men, of course, have a lot of addictive behavior and struggles. But 12, we recently showed this for one retired attorney, and he was, wow, this is astonishing. You never seen that success, so to speak, rate in the system of justice, which is very punitive and very hard. It's almost no hope. Most people, they return after they're released from the prison.
So what we wanted to show you was what are the shifts that this program does that allows for this deep transformation. And the person who founded this program is actually a Buddhist who is part of Spirit Rock. I don't know if people know Spirit Rock. It's a kind of a mindfulness retreat center in California. It's quite popular. And he's also a psychotherapist. So he brought in Buddhist principles in psychotherapy, working in these prisons, translating the Dharma into their language. So that's not even quote-unquote Buddhism. It just speaks to their heart. So it's the medicine that heals. And so just to give you a sense of how they translate, all the students have to take a pledge when they join this program. And you can see the pledge here. Taking this pledge represents my commitment to heal my rage and transform my violence, starting with me here and now.
Not tomorrow,
not
here
tomorrow,
and now.
Right? Sometimes in the addict circles, I will stop drinking tomorrow.
Tomorrow
never comes.
Never comes.
So here and now. In solidarity with my family member that is graduating as a peacemaker, I take this pledge and strive to keep it with him. So there's a sense of community, you could say of Sangha, of a tribe of support. And it begins with, I want to stop my violence. Practice peaceful ways of interacting with myself and others. I pledge not to initiate or perpetuate violence in gang or race fights anywhere in the prison. And I pledge to not verbally instigate and incite violence in such situations. So I don't know if people know what jail is like, but what I hear is that oftentimes basically different races get together.
Especially in America.
Especially in America. And then you have to be in a kind of a gang in jail to protect yourself. And so each group fights each other. So it's a very violent environment. So these men are not in a very peaceful monastery. They're actually in a very tough environment.
Yeah, you see, it's of course we cannot go over every element because it's a lot of reflections behind it, all those principles, and you can see also this is very skillful way to translating 5 precepts.
Yeah.
Like for instance, where we have a good pray for or treat my physical body with care, but not overworking or creating stress. I will seek to find a balance between time to work and rest. I will strive to eat wisely, exercise, and refrain from the use of intoxicants. Precepts number 5. But also is very interestingly that these precepts, those principles and guidance are helped us to take care of ourselves. Sometimes we forget, overworking is praise in the society, right? Very good. We have a lot of workaholics in this world who broke their bodies too. And we have a lot of, in Silicon Valley, very successful but miserable people, in fact. And of course, our diet, exercising, all this counts to create an environment for well-being and maintaining well-being.
So I want to go back here. So pray for or otherwise honor the healing for the people I have hurt. I dedicate this nonviolence commitment to them. So at the very end of Buddhist events, there's also a sharing of blessings, or we sometimes call dedication of merit. So I think it's very interesting this is built into this program. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing this for your whole community, your family, your friends. And this is very much part of this program, is you actually bring in all those people into your journey. And I think that's actually very important for us as practitioners to realize this isn't a solo project, right? We have, here we're able to be at Buddhist Gem Fellowship having this talk because people have created a space for us to gather together. Great masters and teachers have brought the Dharma here to Malaysia that we can study it. And so there's a lot that allows us to be here now. And so it's kind of remembering that allows us to walk this path.
Take only those things that are given freely, not take things that not belong to me, and live with my means. Precepts number 2. But you see, very skillfully introduced to them, and they truly committed to this.
So here's another one that's interesting how they put it in. Learn how to foster sincere connections. Yeah. Express my affections, develop intimacy, and not create harm with sexual behavior. So precept number 3, right? But you go, I don't, you wouldn't know it's the 5 precepts if you didn't know the 5 precepts, right?
Yeah, like challenge my own belief systems, understanding that there's always another's perspective. So important. Very often we are stuck in our views. You are wrong. I'm right. How often are we seeing that? Even sometimes it's ironically in our Dharma circle. No. You are wrong, what you think, And it's truly listening and opportunity to learn. All those views are formed in different ways, but we don't have to blindly believe them, but see what helps us to connect to the heart and open, or what closes us.
Just a couple more. Share with others and not hide the times I feel to stick to this pledge. So a sense of confession, right? So sharing when we're not living aligned to our deeper sense of integrity and values.
And it's very important what Jin Chuan says, how they approach that whole commitment. They say that this group, their meetings, those confessions, it is not a courtroom. It's a classroom. We learn. We learn from mistakes. Not means that we, again, have to be ideal or perfect. We make mistakes, we admit them. Okay, I can make better choices. I don't have to repeat those mistakes again and again. And my community support me with this.
Well, we don't have time to go into this right now, but if you're really interested in exploring this, there's something called restorative justice and restorative practices. I think it's actually very important for Buddhism, if we're going to explain precepts, it has to come from a restorative place and not a punitive place. So a punitive system, which is like a courtroom, usually when something goes wrong, what are the questions? Right? What crime was committed? Who did it? And what's the punishment? Right? So what you create is a culture of fear. The Buddha didn't do that. The Buddha didn't punish the monastics or punish his disciples. So what the system was is called a restorative system. And the questions are just slightly different. What happened? Who was hurt and how do we heal? So in that series of questions, there is no blame. There is no wrong. There is no punishment. But there's still accountability. So we won't go into that now, but this whole system that they've developed in this GRIP program is actually built on a restorative system.
And we see that challenge violence firmly but kindly in all its forms, whatever it was, to do so, and stand with others who are treated unfairly, even that means standing alone. So kindness is not weak. Gentle not means that weak person. The gentleman has to be weak. It's a strength there. And we need to speak out. We need to stand up. We need to protect others too, but it's the way to do it without harm.
Yeah, so that's a training. That requires training. And I think that's another thing that Buddhism can offer in the world is that you actually have role models and how do you be in this world that is strong yet kind. You live by your principles, but you don't do it in a way that oppresses other people. Right? It's this very kind of delicate balance.
Especially for men. Have a good examples of strong and kind men.
Yeah. I give permission to all in my community to help me stay on the path of this pledge. I commit myself to a lifetime of nonviolence and peacekeeping as if life depends on it, because I understand that it does. And so for these men, it does, because they've actually killed people. And when you start to, we'll show you a video of them, a clip of them, and you'll see where they come from. So how this program works is when you join the program, you sign this pledge for 1 year, for the duration of the program. And then when you finish the year program and you graduate, you sign this for life. That's how that program works.
Dedicate life to be peacemaker. And we ourselves, in fact, we're so inspired by this. We use some of those elements of that pledge and apply in our monastery. We have a pledge in Redwood Vihara. People who come and stay some period of time, we adapted it was modern Asian combination. We have a little bit chanting to Buddha Shakyamuni, and every person who stay in the monastery in the end sign up. I sign up that pledge for time being in the monastery. And later we spend sometimes, 2 months.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months. Almost pretty much the whole program.
Whole program unpacking what this pledge means. Because it's not just, sometimes we're repeating those, I don't do this, okay, let's move to another thing. Really what really means.
Like how do we stop harming?
How we stop harming.
Right? And you can really observe, so when I say this, what are the consequences of my words? When I did this and I wasn't considerate to the people around me, what are the impacts? How do we communicate? Right? How do we work conflict? How do we work out conflict without fighting? So there's little kind of very important life skills we found that we often don't learn. And the Buddha actually had a lot of really rich teachings in these areas. So we won't go into that super detail now, but we want to have this video. I actually have this one. We actually put Chinese subtitles on it so that you can actually, for those who don't read English, can't understand their English that well, you can hear the Chinese.
It's the most watched video in the entire our career, I think, in monastery, and we show this in Europe, in Taiwan, in Australia and California and different places. in Georgia too, Atlanta. And everywhere is the same response, what really touch people's hearts and encourage us. Just saying that the Dharma is universal, is beyond any cultures, if it's described and shown in a skillful way.
Do we need translation? Do people need translation? 有人需要中文翻译吗? Anybody? No? 有人需要吗? I think probably okay. Okay. Or if you, yeah, it's okay.
You see San Quentin, there was a picture of it. When you go to City of 10,000 Buddhas, usually you cross the Richmond Bridge and Bay Area and you see on the left side. Do people hear well that what he's...
It's still a bit, he's talking pretty fast. He says, drop 662 SQ, we've been gripping. That's what this click do. Click is like a tribe. And so SQ is San Quentin, and 662 is the name of the tribe. So how do they get the name of the tribe? So they have about 30 men sitting in a circle. And the first question the facilitator asks is, how many years have you served in prison? So you go around, maybe 10 years, or 15 years, or 30 years, or even 50 years, right? You go around and you add up all the years. And here you have 662. For our friend in our university, his group had over 1,000.
Over 1,000 years.
So they got 1,013 or something. Right? So that's the first question that's asked from the group. And that number becomes the name of the tribe. So we're tribe 662. Right? So the second question he asks is, how long was it between the moment you felt imminent danger and you committed the crime that got you here? So when was the moment you felt kind of activated?
Things speed up.
Things speed up, you got emotional, and then you committed the crime that got you here in jail. And you go around, 2 minutes, 5 seconds.
2 seconds.
2 seconds, And you go around and get something like 15 minutes. So he says, okay, 15 minutes for almost or over a millennia of life. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? He says, in this program, you're learning to never miss a moment like that again in your life. That's real power. That's what it's about, guiding rage into power. So it's gripping, it's GRIP, guiding rage into power.
And this is the freedom to catch ourselves when this impulse are rising and we not react, we respond.
All colors intertwined like a Rubik's Cube, yeah. We gotta stop the violence. Grip is the acronym because we've been guided. Rage and power, power and peace so that we can leave present before we get released, yeah. Because hurt people, well, heal people, yeah. I had a dream, I found my way to freedom. And free people, yeah.
So if you want to describe the whole program in 3 sentences, hurt people. Often this crime happened because they were exposed to harm and experienced harm directly. Their wounds, traumas, unprocessed pain. Hurt people. Heal people. When we heal, we offer something tremendous. We're showing others that everyone can heal as well. And this is probably the best encouragement we can offer to anyone else. We can heal ourselves and encourage others that you can heal too. All of us can be healed. And he finished, free people. Because this is freedom, right? Be free from our past, be free from harm, from all our wounds. Truly open up the possibility to be really free and okay with ourselves. So they say you can be released before you leave the prison.
Get free before you get free.
Get free before you're free. And we say we stuck in many prisons. These ones, can be free.
And for me, actually, this is kind of the essence of, in the Buddhist tradition, we call it right view, or the Four Noble Truths. Because oftentimes when we see somebody who creates harm, like let's say these men who murder somebody, what we see is a criminal.
It's bad.
Bad person. Maybe a murderer, a kind of monster, right? What you see here is hurt people, hurt people. To me, that's the first of the two noble truths. We suffer. And where does suffering come from? It comes from pain. It comes from this, you say, craving.
Unprocessed dukkha.
Yeah. Hurt people. Then the next one is heal people is the third and fourth noble truth. That there is a way out. And if we walk this path out, we can inspire other people as well.
Recently, like I explained, shared with some of y'all, my brother was murdered November 17th this year, last year, and today is his birthday. Normally, when somebody get hit on our side, we go retaliate and go do something on their side. Now, this is the time when you just sitting here and I'm doing it in a healthy way. I'm sitting here and I'm going through the anger, going through the hurt, going through the good times, laughing about the good memories that I had of it. And I'm not just stuck in that one gear. And if it wasn't for this group, I don't think that I would be able to sit back and respond healthily like this. And that's that emotional intelligence. That's being able to track exactly what I'm feeling. That's learning how to sit in that fire and not just go react to something every time you get hurt. That's, like I say, it's big.
So you see, what the name how they call meditation? Barbecue. You sitting on the fire, allowing that whatever emotions, things comes, we relax and patiently wait. After we wait, they can burn into the ashes. Thought by thought, emotion by emotions. One trauma by one trauma.
So they go really fast. That's what we're going to unpack it. So he says, searching for original pain. I think people here might know the two Dart Sutta, or the Dart Sutta, the different arrows, something called Arrow Sutta, right? So he calls the first Dart original pain. And you can't avoid that initial trauma. But he says there's a secondary pain that we add on top of that. How we interpret it. Somebody hurts us or puts us down, and we believe them. We think we're no good. I'm no good. I'm no good.
I'm no good.
I'm no good. I'm no good. Right? And so we shoot ourselves arrow after arrow.
Take up one beer. another arrow.
So this approach is saying, go back, find the original pain, and stop adding the layers on it. In fact, this original pain can be a doorway for real transformation. That's what the Buddha said, right? If suffering is actually a doorway, suffering can lead to more suffering if we don't have any wisdom, but suffering can also be the doorway to freedom.
So we cannot avoid pain. We are born. You remember the first sound when we were born? But we don't, but our mothers remember. Pain. And in the end, it's not that easy too. But what the Buddha taught us, we cannot avoid pain, but the suffering is optional. We can choose not to suffer.
But it takes training the heart. It takes training the heart. And that's what these men are doing, training the heart. Even if they come from really, really tough backgrounds, they can get free.
Can heal.
I mean, just as a quick story. So we've listened to quite a few of their talks, and if you go online, you can find that these men actually get out of jail and they share their experiences. One of the questions was, so what was your first experience of violence? He said, well, I was 2 years old, crawling in my father's blood. My mom had just shot him. And the cops had surrounded the house. And for 2 hours, they were waiting because they didn't know what was going on in the house. That was my first experience with violence. Like, whoa, you know, and they just carried that through their lives. Because that's what they thought was how life was.
And whenever this case is not, these guys have no hope, forget, even those deep traumas, deep pain can be healed. Maybe not happen overnight, but if you know the medicine, if you know the tools, it takes some time, but we can be free.
In the Buddhist tradition, we have many stories, like
Angulimala.
He's a serial killer, right? Who became an arhat.
People have been purpose. That I committed out of anger. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, thinking how I could have handled the situation better. I said, plenty. In a rearview mirror, hindsight 2020. I feel that the change that I'm making is genuine. I mean, I wanted to change way back then, but I really didn't know how. I was still lying about my committing offense. I was saying that I was confronted in a liquor store by a gang member. Went outside the liquor store, they followed me outside the liquor store and pulled a weapon out. You know, a struggle ensued for possessing the weapon, and I shot him. You know, that was my legal defense. You know, so I've been living that lie for years now. And you know, but when I got here and I started participating in some of the groups, you know, I started to realize what accountability was about. And then I would be seeing guys, you know, holding their truth, people like Robin.
So the other thing that we often point out when we watch this video is if you think about the four Brahma Vihara, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, you can observe how this group of people interact with one another. I mean, if you look at this man, kind eyes.
Yeah, look at his eyes.
Kind eyes. Somebody sharing something from the depth of his heart, and it's not like, what? You've been lying about your whole life? It's like, you know, I'm here with you, man.
See, another kept his hands on heart. I'm with you, I support you.
And so for us, in the Buddhist tradition, you actually have seen the suttas quite often. It says, how do we live together in harmony? We look at each other with kind eyes.
With kind eyes.
And just imagine if we just did that one practice in our family, how powerful that would be. If we just don't look at our spouse or our children with judgmental eyes, and you know what that eye looks like.
Immediately we know this judgmental eye. And so for us, the deepest respect what we can give to someone is look at on them with kind eyes, and the second, can we look at ourselves with kind eyes?
Yeah, because we often look at ourselves in that same way.
I hear Chuan, I see these guys, and so they inspire me. They let me know, okay, these guys can change, then I know that I can change. You know, in terms of being open and honest, you know, about the things I've done.
We call this mudita.
Mudita, appreciative joy, right?
The joy.
We're coming in here because we get to remind each other, welcome each other back in who we really are. Because when we committed a crime, we forgot. We forgot who we really are. And so you cannot forget that again.
So that's also a very powerful shift in narrative, because we said before how oftentimes there's a sense of I'm not good enough. He actually doesn't start from that narrative. So another very interesting exercise he does in the very beginning, he asks all the men, how many of you are here to improve yourself? And pretty much everybody raises their hand. I killed somebody, I'm really messed up. You know?
I'm garbage.
I need to get better, you know, that's why I'm here. He looks at all of them and says, okay, all of you, get out of this room and come back in here with another intention. Because if you're in this program thinking that you're not good enough right now, and the entire time you're in this program you're being, I am not good enough push-ups. You just be reinforcing that thinking. So you go outside and you come back in with another intention. And so here he's saying, actually, what we did when we committed that crime, when we hurt somebody else, is because we forgot who we truly are. Right? And this is something I think is really part of the Buddhist tradition. I remember there's a story about, I think Ajahn Pasma told us, that a reporter from the West went to talk to the king of Thailand.
It was the BBC, journalist.
Yeah. And he asked about the Buddhist beliefs.
It's recorded, actually.
Recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's interesting. You can go watch it. I just heard this. He says, well, in Christianity, you have the idea of original sin. He says, maybe in Buddhism, we have original purity.
was what?
What?
I was so surprised.
You know?
How?
So we see that there's a lot of, you could say, pain and suffering and things that look really ugly, you could say, in our hearts and minds. But we have a confidence that in this awareness and this compassion, there's this deep purity.
We see we welcome ourselves who we truly are, that we find this kindness, and very often the loving kindness is the door to that. We can feel it. It's not a concept. We can practice this. It's a frequency. What we amplify in our heart and returning and returning. So we don't need to download. I'm lacking, I'm no good. Something will give me that.
And so for Jingwei and myself included, when we actually started in the monastery, we actually used that narrative quite a lot. I'm no good.
I'm no good.
Or I need to be better. I need to be a better monk. I need a better monk. I need to work harder. You know. And what we found was that didn't actually lead to real well-being. It led to a very kind of tight and judgmental mind. We didn't feel free. And it took some time for us to really, what's not working here?
Yeah.
What's not working here? We were working so hard, but we actually ended up, being in fights or, being not very considerate to one another. I'm trying to prove I'm right and you're wrong. Have you played that game before? I'm right, you're wrong. Right? Or I'm wrong, you're right, and then you start blaming yourself. And we can practice the Dharma with that mindset for decades, putting a lot of energy, but we don't have this right intention to begin with. Right? If you know the Eightfold Path, first is right view, the second is right intention. And if you look at the definition of right intention, it actually is the four boundless heart. Because if you see the world through the eyes of hurt people, heal people, naturally your mind moves to kindness. If we see the world through right and wrong, very easily the mind goes to fighting. So this is why to be able to train the heart to stay in the Four Noble Truths is very important. Because then that allows the heart to naturally blossom with kindness and compassion. So anyway, so I think Jack here, who's the founder of the program, is very skillfully introducing these ideas. Like in this, what he just said doesn't seem Buddhist.
Yeah.
Right? If you were just somebody on the street and you're talking to them, you know what? Don't you want to find who you truly are? Aren't we just performing, for social media, for our parents, for our friends, even for ourselves? Can we just accept ourselves for who we are? Hey, let's give it a try. And there's actually ways to do this. Right? So this is something I think is quite wonderful.
And maybe ask, from the Northern tradition, heard about Erstor Bodhisattva?
Oh.
Dizangpusa, Erstor Bodhisattva. Have you heard? For us, Jack is Erstor.
Yeah.
Because Erstor went to the hells to help, to heal, to tell to people is the way to get free. He came to the San Quentin, what is the hell on the earth? In many ways. And it was amazing what we heard, that some people ask you, why are you doing this? It's so tough. And he says, I can be stand on my knees.
So regularly fall to my knees.
Regularly fall to my knees with deep gratitude, with those mans. Offer, trust their stories, and I can be with them. It's like, whoa, we are in the kindergarten.
He doesn't seem like helping them.
Yeah.
Or he's above them. He's there in service to them and really respects them. And that to me is also the spirit of the Dharma. Right? We don't practice and become more and more kind of prideful and that we're really accomplished practitioners. Is that we have less and less self, and we're able to serve more and more people from a caring, authentic place in the heart.
Or we become a saviors. I will cross you. No, we give the tools. We're supporting that everyone can return to who they truly are. Because this is the whole process. We don't fixing anyone.
And so you cannot forget that again.
On December 7th, 1994, I murdered a woman named Kristen. outburst. My mother sent me to live with my father when I was 9, and my father used to beat me like I was a grown man. And I think without a program like GRIP, I wouldn't have been able to receive a visit and be open to everything that my daughter Katie had to say to me on Thanksgiving. The fact that someone who I felt I harmed the most in this world for telling me that they forgive me for what I did.
If one of you is working, you're all going to work, because we all have skeletons in the body. We all have hurt people. And it's coming clean with that is a big part of reclaiming who we truly are.
So in closing, I want to honor the earth, the air, the water, the fire. I want to say a prayer for our ancestors. And all of you here today, and the work that you're doing, and how it will resonate, not only here in San Quentin, this community, but throughout the world.
I mean, that's also a really profound reflection. It seems so simple, but we're all connected, right? So there see them holding hands, and they're honoring their ancestors. And I find that's something, especially in America, and I think probably for our younger generation, it's probably going worldwide with social media and all the technology, is that we're losing connection to our roots. We're losing connection to our ancestors. And so why we feel ungrounded, because we don't connect to our roots. And here they're honoring, this is where we come from. And from the Buddhist perspective, all living beings have been our parents. This is said in both traditions, Theravada and Mahayana. Right? That we're all connected. And so there's a sense that we're not alone. We're deeply with other people all the time. And so when you go out and you meditate in the forest, right, experience can be we're really lonely and scared. But if you actually start knowing these principles, you'll actually know, when I'm meditating in my kuti, my little hut, my parents are in my heart. My preceptor is there with me as well. The spiritual beings that come in the spaces that I practice in are there as well. So we're deeply embedded in the natural spiritual realms. So I think this is a really way that to kind of honor that. And then the other thing that's a very interesting reflection is that the things that we do will resonate out into the universe. So every moment of our lives is extremely meaningful if you reflect on it. Because when I say something to somebody, that energy will then ripple out to the next person, to the next person, the next person. And we'll go into infinity. Right?
And skillful too.
And that's skillful too. It's a little bit aside, but something that we were also very fascinated with near-death experiences, and you can go and explore that. And there's a movie called Life After Life. So these people die and they come back, and what they say when they come back, they say, all those things that I valued before, money, fame, all this stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Come back and say, what really matters is true unconditional kindness. It says these small acts of kindness ripple out into the universe that you cannot imagine. Right? That's what they report. So, anyways, my sense is in the Buddha's teachings very similar.
But throughout the world.
Throughout the world. And the universe.
And multi-universes.
True.
So, Troy, could you enlighten us as to what's different?
I'm still breathing.
And last week I went to the board and was found suitable for release.
You got free for prison.
We actually, when we showed this movie on one occasion, our friend, she's graduated from Dharma and Buddhist University. Says, "Oh, it's Troy. I live with him in the kind of communal house in Oakland. He's a very good guy," but he was a little bit surprised. Oh, I didn't know a little bit about his past here.
Okay, so watching that, we found it very, very inspiring. And then the question is, so how do we do it in our lives? So we want to do one exercise with everyone that we found makes it kind of very concrete. And
it also came from this program.
Yeah. It's a combo.
Or inspired by this program. Inspired by this program.
So I know we can help pass out some sheets. I also have some that are Chinese translation as well, if people need it. So you just have one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Chinese translations here too. If anybody wants Chinese. Anybody want Chinese translation? They more comfortable with Chinese? Okay. Yeah. So actually my mom helped translate this. So you can see if the translation can be better.
Talking about, are we connected? And
yeah. So I'll put this on the screen. I'll put Chinese on the screen too so people can read both. Actually, let me just do English. It'll be a little less messy.
Mm-hmm. Easier to follow.
So one of the four boundless hearts is equanimity, upekkha, or upeksha. And what I found was actually this is oftentimes not really understood in, at least in the Chinese kind of Mahayana traditions, because it's often translated side shi sa, and sa becomes letting go, or renouncing, or giving. And actually within you look at the Pali and Sanskrit, it's actually this even-mindedness.
Balanced mind.
Balanced mind, this steady heart. Ability to receive anything that's happening and not be moved. Right? So this is the training of this boundless heart that's open to care, that doesn't get attached to any particular outcome.
And freeing us from reactivity, what they say. So when we have balance in our heart, the spaciousness in the heart, we can respond to anything what's arising.
And this particular balance heart is extremely essential to keep the other hearts balanced. So what happens, if people know the near and far enemies, and if people know the Visuddhimagga, the path of purification, right? There's the teaching on the Brahma Viharas, and in it is described that each of the Brahma Viharas, or these four balanced hearts, has a near and far enemy. So the far enemy is what the exact opposite of that balanced heart. So for instance, loving kindness, what's the opposite? Hatred.
Or irritation.
Right? And what's the near enemy? It's like this possessive love, this kind of selfish affection. So it's when you take this loving, boundless heart and it collapses into I. And you can see it, we can see it in families. Say parents, there's a real care for their children unconditionally. But at a certain point, almost like their kids become like their little product they have to create in their own image.
Or I have to keep you forever.
Possess you. And now they control them, and it's like kind of stifles the kid. The kid now cannot grow to be who they are. They have to grow with the parents' expectations always there, kind of pushing down on them. And what happens oftentimes is sometimes the kids just live in a very repressed state, or sometimes they just completely get the parents out of their life, and they cut the relationship. Both are very painful, right? Because there wasn't this sense of equanimity. And the same thing we find for children to parents. We often think that our parents are supposed to be perfect, right? But I tell you, when we were born, no one gave our parents a handbook on how to be a parent. They're just trying to figure it out.
Unfortunately, they're not arhants.
And they're not arhants. So they're just trying to figure this out. They have greed-hatred delusion, and when you get older, you realize, wow, life has a lot of responsibilities. You have to pay the bills. You have to, work at your job, which is often not very pleasant. You have to get along with your spouse. You may clean the house, and it's just ongoing. And so you get pretty stressed out. And you realize, my parents are human too. Because oftentimes we put our parents in this kind of category. They're supposed to be like a certain way. And they weren't that way, so then I'm broken. Because of I blame my parents for how I am. And it happens again in the West a lot with psychotherapy. And that doesn't really lead to liberation.
And
I would say psychotherapy in that way. I say there's definitely a lot of very good psychotherapy, but sometimes what happens is we end up blaming our parents for our problem.
because also from this possessiveness, the message what we received that to be okay, we need to be in a certain way. The love is conditional.
Yeah.
We have ongoing joke from our Bay Area. We say you share with you. You know, we have some very micromanaging moms. They call tiger moms. You know, probably in Malaysia we have also tiger moms, but also we have rabbit moms too. Some are very gentle, accepting. But the joke, what is kind of not the joke, is with the kids from the school come to home and say, "Mom, I have A." A, what means? Average.
A is for average.
Average for average is, of course, it have to be A. Wow, anything else? You know, A plus. B, bad. C, can't have dinner. D, deported. F, find another family. Or find another monastery. If you have the same system, whatever we are.
Yeah, so and this is true for all the other hearts as well, right? Compassion without equanimity can go to grief, can go to sadness, can feel overwhelmed. Compassion itself never feels overwhelmed. It's this very powerful force. So we won't go into that in detail, but what we want to focus on equanimity is because it's oftentimes not so understood. So if you look at the sheet, we often do this as a guided meditation. People sit quietly, and then you actually reflect on your own experience. And so you can fill this out for yourself. And this column here, the S-E-T-A, they call it sita, comes from grip.
Mm-hmm.
You have this called sita. And so they track their experience in the sensations in the body, the emotions in the heart, the thoughts in the mind, and the actions that we take. So what I found very powerful about this is that when you start to look at these states from those categories, you have a real map, internal GPS, as Jing Wei was saying, like, ooh, I'm going into a place of dependency, or I have the heart of equanimity. Or the near enemy of equanimity is indifference. I don't care. You know?
I'm above that, I'm fine, I don't care.
So here's the reflection. Imagine yourself dependent on another person or situation for your sense of well-being and identity. So it's not just another person that you're dependent on. You're dependent on things being a certain way, right? You need the house to be a certain way. You need your car to be a certain way. You need your kids to be a certain way. You have some kind of expectation for your sense of, oh, then I'm okay. You need that person's approval, or you need things to turn out a certain way to feel okay. If the person praises you, you are successful, you are elated, you're very happy. If the person criticizes you or you fail, you become agitated and resentful. How does this state manifest in your body, emotions, thoughts, and actions? Right, so then you can go through this chart and fill it out for yourself. So what we did it for ourselves as an exercise, and you can observe what your experience is. So for instance, when you have a sense of looking for somebody's approval, what I find is often the body leans forward. Will you like me? I'm a very nice person, you know. You smile a lot. You have this kind of fake smile, Or if somebody criticizes you, you kind of harden the body.
I remember the moment when I was novice monk at the time, and I was in the phone call. It was Skype at the time. It's already retired. And we have a group of friends from India, England, and America, preparing for delegation. So visit some countries. And after the call, I asked Rabbi Hensher, who was here 6 years ago, right? He gave the talk, and asked about the feedback to Rabbi Hensher. Rabbi Dharma Master, anything about how I appear in this call? Qin Xianshi at the time I was. You know, Qin Xianshi, I think you knock your head like 18 times or something. Really? I wasn't aware of it at all. And you smile so much. There's nothing wrong with smiling. It's great. It's good. It's medicine. It's open. Opening others, softening. But I realize I'm doing this with moving forward for looking for acceptance and approval. It was a habit to feel okay.
Yeah.
And it's so deeply rooted, I was shocked when he told me that. It's like, wow, I spent so many years on this planet, I didn't know that I have that tendency. Okay, let's work on that. Let's face that with equanimity and kindness. It's another way to be. I don't have to. Searching and begging for acceptance.
Okay, so you look at the emotions. You have anxiety, fear, right? Or you get what you want, you're super excited, right? So there's a sense of being not really stable. And thoughts, judgmental, especially to myself using other people's standards. You have questions like, am I good enough? Do they like me? And here's a very I see it's less now in Hollywood, but before when I was growing up, it definitely was there, that you're trying to find your true love, right? That's kind of your answer in life. So you find somebody that will be like, will solve all your problems. Or you think they need me, I can save them, right? Then you're kind of trapped in this relationship. You know, you don't want to have that kind of thinking because it's not a very liberating way of being in the world. Actions, often you become very have favorites, right? You flatter, you exaggerate. You can stop listening to what's actually going on inside, and you're always looking outside, right? There's a fear of conflict, and you can't hold other people accountable because you want them to like you. No clear boundaries. You don't have your sense of inner integrity because you're unstable, right? So this is the column for the far enemy of equanimity. Now, if you look at equanimity itself, it's got a different sita. So oftentimes equanimity is very relaxed. So that's pretty much our main mantra in the monastery now. When people come to the monastery, we say the first thing, relax.
Relax.
If something goes wrong, first thing you need to do is relax, okay? Don't go, or go scold somebody, you know. If somebody does something wrong in your mind, relax. Okay?
And you see what this does in very simple, and aware and embodied way. This is how we connect with equanimity, because relaxation creates a spaciousness in the body. We don't hold on, and immediately create the spaciousness in the mind. Mm-hmm. And you see what the power of the Brahma Viharas is. We have loving kindness towards others, compassion, but we don't have a spaciousness around those. We can very easily go too near of our enemies.
Yeah.
Can be very possessive or very irritated. And anytime we are become irritated, judgmental, things are supposed to be in a different way, we close the heart for this unconditional loving kindness, unconditional equanimity.
And if you study the Eightfold Path, right, there's, I think the seventh path factor is right mindfulness, right? Right mindfulness. And people know the first, what right mindfulness is defined as? I can test this group of Theravada. What's the definition of right mindfulness? Anyone? Dun, 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 dun.
Sammasati.
What do you say? What would you say the definition? Okay.
And remember remember, watch, and to guide perhaps our emotions, our feelings.
Mm-hmm. Feelings is one. Feelings is one. Yeah.
Thought, feelings, perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Chitta is another. Thoughts.
And also the
mind.
body sensation.
Body sensations, another.
Yes, so you have, your body sensation, your perception or perspective, your thinking or thoughts, your emotions, and then the volition, the action, the response that you are going to take. How you want to process these thoughts, feelings, perceptions that arise. So that you can step back, and then you can consider how to react or respond in a way that is more beneficial to all parties.
Right? Yeah, wonderful.
Yes, very good.
So, yeah, wonderful. Appreciate your sharing. So I think when she was just sharing that, she touched on quite a few things. So, sensations in the body. So if you learn right mindfulness, it's usually defined as the 4 foundations of mindfulness. First is body in the body. So you bring your awareness into the body. The second was awareness of feelings. The third was awareness of your mind. And the fourth is awareness of dharmas. And usually the wholesome dharmas that you can cultivate, like the 7 factors of awakening, right? So this is the actual ground of what the Buddha taught, and how do we walk this path to awakening. And so when you say this relaxed, we kind of joke about it, but this relaxed is actually the body awareness, that if you go deeper and deeper and deeper, actually leads to liberation.
And what was mentioned, to remember, because another definition of sati literally is remembrance. We remember, and how easy to remember? Again, connect to the body. Body is always present. Body never lies. What we feel. So it's remembering us, and we can track those emotions, sensations, feelings, dharmas, and so forth.
So we'll go through all of these in a really detailed way, but if you look at, say, the thoughts, I accept things as they are. There's a very famous line from the Thai forest. They say, it's like this. It's not, it should be like this. It's like this. And just that, taking out that should, transforms the whole experience, right? As the weather, it could be raining. It's like, it shouldn't be raining. And you get afflicted. No, it's like this. It's raining. Right? And just that simple recognition is where equanimity is born. You stop just living in our views and expectations. We actually connect to what's really going on. So I accept things as they are. Everything is okay, no problem, right? What's happening now comes from very deep karmic patterns from the past. It's just like this. I can't just will it away. I have to just accept it and work with the conditions to have a way to create something wholesome. I care about you, but you're responsible for your life, right? Let's imagine a parent telling that to their children. I unconditionally care about you, but I trust your decisions. I want you to live your own life, right? So that last part here said, maybe I'll just pick one. Support others in being accountable for their actions. Clear boundaries based on inner integrity and values, yet adaptable to the situation, not fixed. We have many of our Thai forest teachers, like Ajahn Pasno. He's, to me, the embodiment of equanimity, and he's just like a rock. And anything comes, he just looks at it, and it won't shake him. And there's a sense of real integrity. He holds the vinaya with this real sense of... In the Thai forest tradition, he's considered the kind of trainer of monks. In their system, they know who trains monks well. Ajahn Pasno. Right.
So, a little story. In California, we have a lot of fires. And they're very brutal.
Yeah.
Whole towns can disappear. We have our own fire story, but maybe another time we'll share with you. But the fire also came to this Thai forest monastery by Agiri, which is very close to the city of 10,000 Buddhas. Maybe 30 minutes drive. And the whole group, monks, has to evacuate in 15 minutes at like 2 a.m. So they have to run away from the danger, fire approaching from all directions. So they stay for a week at city of 10,000 Buddhas.
Yeah, here they are.
Here's the picture. When they stay. And
right
every day, they watch, report. They have a special map which showing where fire is, and it was a little dot there. What was untouched by fire, but didn't know is Abhayagiri, the monastery, or not. But finally, after 7 days, they.
Can I just add something right there before?
Please.
So about Ajahn Pasano. So Ajahn Pasano is the one in the middle. He actually wasn't at Abhayagiri when the fires broke out. So I helped receive all the Abhayagiri monks at the 6,000 Buddhas. I was there for them the whole time. And so maybe day 2, day 3, he flies back to California and he comes in, right? All the monks, a little bit nervous, what happened to the monastery? Now Ajahn Pasano's back, okay. So Ajahn Pasano sits in this room. He sits down in the center. All the monks are, Ajahn Pasano's here. He sits down, he just looks at everybody quietly. And he says, the nature of the forest is to burn. Our monastery is in the middle of the forest. That means the nature of our monastery is to burn. If it doesn't burn now, it will burn later. Big smile. And the whole room went, Ajahn Pasano's back.
So, equanimity, accepting things as they are. It's like this. Fire approaches us. We have to deal with it. We have to face it. But we have to accept whatever comes out. And when they return, they're really shocked because the monastery was untouched by fire.
Yeah.
And you can see the boundaries. The firefighters who've been there, they have a base for some time. And they're very tough men. Many of them are like Native Americans, Apaches, or from other tribes. Very, very strong guys. And he was very shocked. He says, I first time my entire life saw that the fire is approaching the monastery and everywhere is wood. And turned back. Fire turned back to the mountain. He says, I don't know what you guys doing there. Keep doing that.
Keep doing it. Keep doing whatever you're doing. Keep doing it.
Keep doing that. And it's interesting that we're talking about the power of kindness, power of loving kindness. One of benefits, you will be not touched by fire.
Yeah.
The monks very seriously practice loving kindness in this monastery.
It's amazing. If you don't believe in devas or this kind of spiritual protection, and you take a look at, you can find the stories about this online. It's shocking. So they come back to the monastery. All the buildings are untouched. The fire burns and doesn't touch any buildings. Even their altars in the middle of the forest. This is an altar to Ajahn Chah. In the middle of the forest, there's a ring surrounding the altar. Nothing is touched. The whole monastery, no building is touched. Right? And when I went back with them, back to their monastery, I was also very touched by Ajahn Pasano. He says, the devas are doing overtime. So they started doing that Pavitra chanting, And he says, okay, our monastery was saved. He says, but we need to be very, you could say, humble about this. Equanimous about it. Because so many of our neighbors lost their homes. So many of our neighbors lost their homes. Like one of their community members, this is her home. This was her home, right? And interesting enough, though, the only thing that survived in her house was this. That was the only thing that survived. Everything else was gone. Just the Buddha image survived. We went there, and she's holding her Buddha image, right? So, anyways, the power of loving kindness and equanimity.
Equanimity.
Yeah. So, keep going. Indifference. So this one's actually very important because oftentimes I think we slip into indifference when we're thinking that we are kind of being peaceful. This is when the heart closes, right? And what is it like? You can actually look here in the description is, imagine that you've had enough, right? Another person always disappoints you, or something doesn't meet your expectations, and you don't want to be hurt by that person anymore. Or the situation works out badly and you just give up. You no longer want to open yourself to ever having a possible failure again. right? So the heart closes, right? And you think, okay, now I'm peaceful. Now I'm safe. But in fact, we just built walls in our life.
And become performance. We're acting that we have this balance and equanimity and accepting, but in fact not. We create the wall.
So what does it look like in the body? Oftentimes the body is very hard. Right? You don't have kind eyes in this particular energy. The energy inside the body is often very stuck. It doesn't flow smoothly because something is tensing up inside. There's a kind of rigidity. There's a kind of joylessness. When you go into this kind of state, you lose the kind of the zest of life because you're kind of repressing yourself. The third one I think is actually kind of interesting because you can actually find it pretty easily in our thoughts. It's, I don't care. You know, when two have a conversation, you know, you see sometimes, you know, parents fighting, and somebody goes, I don't care, just do whatever you want. Like, really, you don't care? No, you really care, but basically you say, I just don't care about you, you know, just do whatever you want. It's, I don't care about this relationship anymore, right? And that's when you have real separation, because these indifference puts up those walls. This doesn't matter, you don't matter, or sometimes I'm too cool for you, right? I'm too important for this, right? We start to have a very high kind of sense of who we think we are, like we're really important, and so other people are below us. That definitely moves to indifference.
Or I don't need anyone. I'm cool by myself, and don't bother me anymore.
And what happens in this, in terms of the actions? You stop paying attention because you're closing down your senses. You're closing down your awareness. Right? It's not your boundless heart being able to see everything. The mind becomes very narrow. So we won't go through all the rest of this, but you can look at this list for yourself, but I think it's actually just very concrete so that you can track these hearts or at least equanimity for yourself. And you can do it for yourself. I think having an exercise you do with the blank side is very helpful. Like for me, I found that I have a kind of a nerve right here on my face that when I find myself getting irritated, it tightens up. So whenever I find that something's tightening on my face right here, I pause.
So I see, something going on there.
Better run away.
Don't go up to Jin's measure.
But it's true. And I say, because you'll find that you actually have very set patterns in the body around your afflictions. When you get angry, certain parts of your body tighten up, very predictably. You can even watch in other people. When they get tight or get angry, you just watch their body. You'll say, oh, that part's tight, that part's tight, that part's tight, that part's tight. You know, you can, and then when you are really aware, you can actually see just when they're tightening the body, you know they're starting to get angry. You know, but you also start tensing that in yourself. So this is the kind of the body awareness that becomes very powerful.
But we see how naturally and easily we can access what we're feeling, how we're reacting through observance of the body. How big resource it is. Always accessible, if we can track. And very key is we can trace, because those reactions, impulses will develop over decades very often. And sometimes in childhood, when we found unsafe, when we see a conflict, we tighten up, we freeze, and we have natural, habituated strategies how to get out from there. Shut down or fight. We call hide, fight, or
flight. Fight or flight.
Or let's say hide, fight, or run away. Run. Because very often you see we run when we feel something uncomfortable, difficult to deal with. We want to distract ourselves. We're taking phones, food, whatever, YouTube, Netflix, whatever is accessible, right? When we want to go to sleep, I want to hide. I don't want to see any more of this experience. I want to hide somewhere that I can feel quote unquote safe. Or often we fight. We blame others, and very often we blame ourselves. But through body awareness, we can track those impulses. And just accepting them, oh, this is chest, and something would appear here, maybe in the chest, maybe on the face. If we can accept that feeling and that sensation, just observe it, very quickly the intensity can reduce in 60-70%. And we don't have to be reactive anymore. We have a space. Oh, I can respond right now.
Yeah, actually, for Ajahn Pasanno, the main way he talks about equanimity is through body awareness. So you don't get lost in the stories. You just go back to the body. Because the body doesn't have any stories, if you notice. It has sensations. But the mind has a lot of stories. So if you try to use another story to fight another story, like you think a bad thought, quote unquote bad thought, and you say, bad thought, why am I having this thought? And you have this inner fight inside, right? So rather than do that, just deep breath, relax, go into the body. Where do I feel these sensations in the body? And what that does, it starts to melt the afflictions. So it's a very useful technique.
You can imagine when we very, very relax, and you can try to get angry, it's very difficult.
True.
Very difficult to get angry with super relaxed. And can we maintain that relaxed state all the time? So this is a training, moment by moment, and become more and more familiar with the well-being, what is associated with this relaxed okayness. And any little irritation appears in the body, is like, whoa, it's an explosion almost. It's painful. It's actually painful. Can I relax?
So what we wanted to do is kind of finish up, and if there are people have questions, we can also answer some too, is, so we said that we came from the city of 10,000 Buddhas, but also from a monastery in the Redwood Forest called Redwood Vihara. And this is, you can say, our attempt to bring together the two traditions. You say this is a training monastery in our tradition in the forest. And we're learning a lot from our Thai forest brothers around these practices, but also bringing some of the elements that come from our lineage around the Bodhisattva path and the 6 paramitas. What we find is very fascinating, particularly with the Brahma Viharas, is if you study in the Visuddhimagga, there's a section where it describes that you can use the Brahma Viharas to realize Nibbana, but you also can use the Brahma Viharas to realize Buddhahood. And it says at the very end, it says, there are some people who wish to realize Buddhahood. So they use the Brahma Viharas to cultivate the 10 paramitas, that's in the Theravada 10 paramitas, to realize Buddhahood. And so it's interesting, it's an intention in the heart where we want to go. But these Brahma Viharas is a kind of a essential foundation for our practice. And
so we call this Redwood Brahma Vihara.
Yeah, Redwood Brahma Viharas, actually.
So we really focus, as we mentioned, from the body awareness, the kind of daily activity, care, ceremonies, meditation, to dwell, as the Buddha says, this is the divine abidings, dwell on this heart, the warmth heart, and cultivating those acceptance and loving kindness.
So this is the place. We're in California, so if you ever want to come and visit, we're happy to have you come out. It's very nice there. It's very quiet because the redwood trees have very thick bark. It's like the most quiet forest you can imagine. It's just like dead silence.
If you are a tree hugger, you will really like those trees. Very soft.
And as I said, about kind of translating the Dharma for new generation, this is really one of our intentions as well. So interesting enough, most of the people who come are actually like in their 20s and 30s. And as we were saying, what we're trying to primarily create is a environment that when young people come, they feel accepted. Doesn't even have to be, they don't have to be Buddhist. They just feel like, well, this is a place I can be with good friends, doing meaningful and fun activities. And then we can go out hiking in the forest. We can go out and chop wood. We can learn how to use a chainsaw and help, clear out the forest, in terms of the fallen trees. So it's a place that you create a wholesome community. And it's quite rare now to have these authentic friendships now in these times when, AI is kind of taking over. You have these, artificial companions that are now becoming your intimate relationships, right? And all of a sudden you're now with people and you go, wow, there's a lot more richness here when I interact with a real person. So this is what we find draws a younger generation.
And we found that this is very important, and when people come there, you see the trainee ceremony is like anagarika ceremony.
Yeah, this is our anagarika.
In
when
the equivalent in the Northern tradition. But if people come and stay from 6 months to a year, is no any pressure, expectation they have to become monastics. This is the main purpose to being there is to deeply listen.
Yeah.
Deeply listen to find our true callings. Because some people have a monastic aspirations, and we want to, of course, support that if this arises and is strong, and this is someone's wish. But some can find out, it was great, but may I return? Maybe I want to finish my study, be a teacher, or maybe I want to be AI coder, or whatever is there. Is the many ways that we can serve to everyone. And very, very important for us for this new time and new generation, they want to create a split, that the one is the monasticism. Monastics are a special class, and the lay people are failures. Maybe one day I could be monastic, but maybe not this life, and you feel that, something is wrong with me. Sometimes we saw that they're kind of one class and second class. He says we're all supporting our journeys. Monastics are extremely important. This is why we don't care about monasticism, because without monastics the Dharma can dry out slowly. So we want to find the people who really walk this path with confidence, but also we want to support anyone else who can offer so much to this world.
And we found that's actually a very important narrative for having young people come. So it's not, so sometimes people come to the monastery and immediately people are like, are you going to leave home? Are you going to become a monk, It's like, huh? And it's like, no, we actually don't even want you to think about that. We want you to listen what's going on in your heart and find what you really believe in. Because so many places in this world right now have all these expectations on you. And this is one of the few places you can come and not have all those expectations constantly on you. Take the silence and spaciousness to discover and listen inside. Right? So that's kind of the intention there. What else do we have? I don't know. We actually really want to emphasize the sense of friendship being really important in these current times. We call it noble friendship. We use the redwood trees that you see around here as a metaphor. So these redwood trees grow hundreds of feet tall. The tallest are 300 feet tall, which is like 34 stories.
Like Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, that's the height of the Statue of Liberty. And it's interesting, they can grow so tall because their roots are all interconnected. Their roots are actually not that deep. They're actually quite shallow, and they go around 50, even 100 feet around the bottom of the base of the tree. And they connect with the other trees. And they support each other in difficult times. If there's storms and so forth, they hold each other up. But they also give each other nutrients. So we found it's a really beautiful metaphor because in many ways, all our roots are connected. We might be in America, but now we're connected to Buddhist Gym Fellowship. And there's this connection. And we support one another. But we don't control one another. Right? We don't judge one another. We allow each of us to grow to be who we are. So that to me is the trees are this beautiful metaphor for what's a noble friend. People know the story of Venerable Ananda, right, going to the Buddha and saying to the Buddha, I figured it out. Half of the spiritual path is noble friendship, or good friends. Kalyana Mitra, right? Kalyana Mitra in Pali. And the Buddha says what? He says, don't say so. Don't say that, Ananda. The whole of the spiritual life is noble friendship.
The whole life.
We think about that, right? What does that mean? This is not a solo path. Okay, so
maybe go to here.
Oh, okay. So you can see.
So you see, and it was a very special moment for us. It was August 27, 2024, and Ajahn Pasano welcomed and blessed Ajahn Chah's relics to Redwood Vihara, our monastery. We have a very good friend who is in the monastery in England. In fact, he's Polish.
Yeah.
Somehow we have very affinity with Northern tradition. in the Thai forest robes.
He recites the Shrangma mantra, right?
Shrangma mantra, he's super pure vegetarian, and it's very, very good, noble friend. Anyway, but they have a very special celebration, and it was 2024, and Ajahn Sumedho, who, one of the main Ajahn Chah Western disciples, celebrated 19th birthday. He's now in Amaravati, England. So it was a gathering, and many monks come from different places to celebrate that, including Ajahn Liam, who is in Papong, current abbot after Ajahn Chah. Okay, so I will shorten. And also show up there Joseph Capel, who was former Ajahn Pabakro. I know some of you saw this wonderful BBC movie about monk who was a soldier in Vietnam, pilot of helicopter, become a monk. It's about him. But Ajahn Pabakro became a Joseph again after he disrobed. He was attendant of Ajahn Chah for many years. So he kept in his house a lot of relics of his hairs. And he decided this time I want to offer to all the monastics you see here, they gather and to celebrate Ajahn Sumedho's birthday. And it's one moment when Ajahn Liam and other senior monastics are offered to all who gather those relics. When Thanissaro received them, immediately he says in his heart came, I want to offer those relics to Redwood Vihara. And for us, it's just beautiful example of the friendship between traditions, between lineages, between northern and southern tradition. We don't need to those. We stopped using Mahayana Theravada. Actually, our teacher, Master Hua, says it's just northern. North go too much north, southern too much south. Let's meet in the center. So we're very inspired by the examples of those venerables, the bhikkhus, because they also was inspired what it means to walk this monastic path here and now in the West.
Okay, so I think just given the time, to say people are welcome to come. We're going to be here mostly. We're also doing elder hospice care right now too in Berkeley Monastery, but our intention is to really set this up as a place for training for monastics, but also training for laity as well, to come and learn how do we really have the Dharma come alive in our lives and connect to not just younger generation, actually all generations. We have the older people come too. Like my mom comes regularly, and she's in her 70s. So. Okay, so to finish, we wanted to do a dedication of merit or sharing our blessings, but we're actually going to do something we do a lot at the monastery called May We. This is a friend in our community who taught this chant and or wrote this song.
He's Dharma teacher, also musician.
As you can see on the screen, may we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. That's kind of the inner criticisms, right? I'm no good. Or other people criticizing us, you're really bad.
You're no good. Or maybe you'll be truly happy and deeply peaceful. This unshakable sense of well-being, what is not dependent on others and other conditions.
May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. Relax.
Everything's okay. And we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. And this is the reflection of equanimity, that everyone in the end is responsible for their own choices. We can wish them well, but mainly what we do, we support others, people's resources that they can make wise decisions by themselves, not by us.
Yeah, so people know there's that reflection. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, supported by my karma, right? Yeah. It happens a lot in the Pali Suttas. That's actually the teaching on equanimity. The Buddha says because we realize everyone's responsible for their own actions, and their own choices, karma, intentional choices. And so when you know that, you realize I cannot control somebody else's karma. That's their responsibility. But I can deeply care about them. And that's equanimity.
We're calling this love which frees, not freeze.
Okay, so
paralyzed.
So what we would like to do is we'll do this 3 times. The first time we'll do call and response. So we'll give you a line, you can repeat back after us. And the second and third time we can do it all together. And how this works is it's not just in the words, it's in the the heartfelt sense of wishing to share these blessings that we have and be able to learn the Dharma, be together with wherever we wish to send it. And the we is not just we here, but whoever you have in your heart.
Call and response?
Call and response, yeah.
Okay, of course.
May we be safe and protected. Your turn. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. From inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. And deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. Physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. Live with well-being. So all together. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. Just finish with a minute of silence, a chance to check in with your body.